You're watching LWT.
Hello and welcome. And before we go any further, I feel I should admit my lottery win last night, because it's bound to get out and I can't expect anonymity, so please don't camp outside my house. The £10 will come in very useful and I'm not going to let it change my way of life. Later on though, we are on the trail of £20 million in gold bullion. Now there is a fortune. This is Schofield's Quest. This is our final show of the series. And yes, we will be back again next year. But for now, this is your chance at last to get in on the act. And this is how you do it. Whilst we trawl through today's clutch of myths, mysteries and magic moments, you wait till you know something we don't, and then you dial our number, and here it is. It's 071 757 7000. Tap it out and you tap into the fastest two-way show on television. Calls came in very thick and very fast last week, so thank you very much indeed for that, especially after our story of Don Chamberlain and how he summoned up the strength of Superman to lift his car up and away when it was squashing his daughter. It seems Don is not alone. David Miller of Sutton-at-Home near Dartford recalled lifting a quarter-ton lump of clay which had fallen on his neighbour in a trench, and John Orme from Hampshire cleared a 9-foot fence escaping from a farmer who found him swiping apples from his orchard. I think that's scrumpying. Amazing stories. How's it done? Well, Dr. Morgan O'Connell, who is surgeon captain at the Royal Navy, tells us that it's the result of a sudden concentration of adrenaline in the system, and other doctors have also backed his theory. So now let's get our own adrenaline going with a quick flip through what's to come on Quest tonight. Why do we do what we do at Christmas? Someone somewhere wants a brick from you. Movie memories that could mean money. Have these children got us all stumped? And the quest for a transatlantic treasure. Now here's a statistic to take your breath away. So far this series, in 9 shows, we've taken nearly 100,000 telephone calls. We've also received more mail than Father Christmas. In actual fact, I've got some of the letters here. This bunch of letters, for instance, 9 of them, all from youngsters at the Vine School in Curdridge in Southampton. They're doing a project on the millennium, and they all share the same quest. We asked them to come in and tell us all about it, and they're all here now. Hello. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. Looking very smart. All ready for Christmas? Yeah? Good. Now, what's your quest?
How is the date going to be written in the year 2000?
Have you got any sort of suggestions?
Yes, some of the suggestions were MM
Right.
and 02
Yeah.
and 20.
And 20 as well. So you've all been trying to figure this out. You really need someone official to give you a hand here, don't you, if you're doing your project and stuff. So let's see if we can sort that out for you. But before I throw it open to everyone who's watching, Adam. Where's Adam? Down here. You're Adam, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd like to just read you something that Adam wrote on the bottom of his letter. It says, eat well, stay fit, die anyway. That's not very optimistic, is it?
No.
Is he always like this?
Yeah.
Is he the Joker?
Yeah.
Well, very good. You made us laugh anyway. So let's see what we can do. See what we can do. Here's the quest. Exactly what will we put where it says the date in the year 2000? For example, today you would write 18/12/94. So how would you write it in the year 2000? Call in now and let's get it sorted. Now a quick recap from last week. Monkey World have had an amazing response, and their chimp Jim will be up and running by Christmas, and lots of people wanted to adopt a chimp, which is great news for them as well, of course. And now a quest that snakes back through history to the 17th century and across half the world to a remote corner of northern Mexico. Here, somewhere in the Sierra Madre Mountains, lies a fabulous treasure trove in gold and silver bullion. It's been lost for generations, but tonight you can help find it, if you can help the man who has made this his own personal, all-consuming quest. He's here with us now, and he's Adrian Westwood. Welcome to the programme.
Good evening.
First of all, how did they lose it? What happened?
There's £20 million of Spanish gold bullion, which was lost in 1646 during an Indian uprising, which cut a bloody swathe across northern Mexico.
What sort of terrain does it lie in now?
It's desert, jungle and snow-capped mountains.
Yeah. What is the treasure? What does it comprise?
The treasure is £20 million worth of gold bullion, which is 14,000 pounds of silver, 6,000 pounds of gold ore, a ton of gold bullion, and church relics, including 3 bells, which weigh over 1,000 pounds solid gold.
So if you find them, how are you going to get them out?
We then have to make a deal with the Mexican government for a 90%, 10% split.
In which direction?
In the Mexican favour, so they should be happy about it.
As far as organisation is concerned, you've got the Americans hot on your heels on this, haven't you?
They've got an expedition under the way at the moment. They've got all the money, the high-tech wizardry, the gimmicks, ground penetration radar, aerial photography, satellite photography. Kevin Marsh, who's another British treasure hunter, and myself, we've got the experience and also the British pluck, hopefully.
Okay, and also you've got quest as well, which is great. What's your quest?
The quest is, we've got almost all of the jigsaw puzzle. We're asking anybody who knows a Mr. W. Wheeler. He was a British mining engineer who operated in Sonora and Chihuahua, northern Mexico, during the 1890s to 1910, and actually looked for the treasure. We believe he collected very special documents regarding the treasure. You may well have them in a box of photographs, field notebooks, maps, in the attic or in the cellar.
Okay, and now if you find it and we help you, I expect you back here with a bit of bullion.
There'll be a bar on the table.
Bless you, sir. All right, we'll see what we can do then in that case. Thanks, Adrian. Let's just recap on what we need from you tonight. First, we need to trace the family of British mining engineer Mr. W.E. Wheeler, who may have left his field notes and maps with his descendants. Are you one of them? Second, perhaps you could collect old maps. Perhaps you know someone who does. Anything of northern Mexico, 300 years ago, you could hold the key to Adrian's quest. 071 757 7000. We've cracked tougher nuts than this in the past few weeks, and this time there's the added attraction of beating the Americans to the punch. And now here are some of those tougher nuts I was talking about, a few of the challenges and the achievements during the first series of quests.
I know that you have some very important things that you need desperately. Can you give us a very short but very important shopping list?
We do need practical things. We do need a vehicle. We're running around at the moment in a 13-year-old car with a gearbox falling out of it.
Doesn't sound very safe.
No, it's not. Not for seals, not for us.
Not for seals, no.
So we do need an ambulance.
As Packy swam out on the tide, your calls came flooding in, and soon the sanctuary had its ambulance and lots more volunteers too.
Since 1992, Dr. Nick Davey has been working with a plant called Philanthus celuianus, otherwise known as Sarandi blanco, and for many years diabetic sufferers have believed it to have healing properties. So Nick, how can our viewers help you in your quest?
We badly need more plant material. So what we want to know is, are there any specimens of this plant that we don't know about lurking in people's greenhouses in the UK? Secondly, has anybody tried this plant? Has a diabetic actually tried the tea made from this plant and found it to be of any use?
Dr. Davies' appeal led to a multitude of offers and stories of personal experiences. His research is going ahead, and one of our viewers has been given special permission to bring fresh supplies of the plant into the country from Argentina. These were the new Romans in Britain, the legion Secunda Augusta from Portsmouth. They appealed for new members, for craftsmen, even for a portable Roman home, and they got the lot. On top of that, they've been offered parts in a new movie, and they're going to be in a glossy magazine's fashion shoot. It's the Roman conquest of Britain all over again.
Your Kawachi's going bald, is that right?
It is. About 3 months ago, she developed this skin problem on the tail. We took her to the vet in a normal way, and we've treated her ever since, and it isn't going away.
Right, not at all. Is it
It's persistent. It's persistent. I wouldn't say it's getting worse, but it's not getting any better.
2 weeks later, we welcomed Esmeralda Kawati to the studio, together with Nikki Provost, the healer, and the excellent result was there for all to see. Then there was the moving story of Ellen Walker. Ellen's parents ran away together on the ill-fated Titanic in 1912. Her father died, her mother survived, and Ellen was born 9 months later. Today, at 81, Ellen has a lifelong and very personal quest.
Now, your quest is to ensure that your father's name is actually written on your birth certificate, which you have here on your lap, if I may open it up and have a look.
Yes.
You must hold this very dear.
Yes, I do.
There's just a dash here, isn't there?
There's just a dash. Where a father's name and his profession is just a line.
Why haven't you been able to do this?
because it's got to go through the courts to have it done.
And we need solid proof that Henry Morley actually was your father, don't we?
Yes, that's right.
So we asked for that evidence, and we got it. Mrs. Aletha Adams is prepared to confirm Ellen's story in writing. New information came in from as far away as San Francisco, and best of all, Mrs. Cleal rang to say her mother was Ellen's father's niece. The upshot is that Ellen should soon have her revised birth certificate, and she has a whole new family who are planning a big get-together for her in the new year. So Ellen is happy and fulfilled at last, and it's thanks to you. Some of the saddest and then again some of the most satisfying moments in Quest have come with our appeals to and on behalf of those who are missing from home. Our regular guest in this spot is, of course, Mary Asprey from the National Missing Persons Helpline. Welcome back.
Good evening.
You have had an immense amount of success here. We all have, and that's 14 out of 19 cases, I think, isn't it? Which is terrific. But there is another one this evening.
Yes, there is. This is really an urgent appeal for Sean Harper, who actually was at an all-night party and left the party at 6 o'clock in the morning in Knightsbridge, London, last Wednesday, and hasn't been seen since, and it's really totally out of character. So if anyone's seen him, maybe he's been in an accident in the hospital unit, but please could they come forward.
Okay, and his name again?
Sean Harper.
Okay. Now, you've opened another sort of branch, another wing to your service, haven't you?
We have, yes. We've opened Message Home, which is proving very successful. Any young runaway or person that's left home can phone us, and in confidence we'll pass a message back to the parents or to their carer.
Right, well, it's been a pleasure having you on the series. Thank you very much. Will you come next year, come back again?
Well, hopefully if the funds roll in, we rely heavily on donations, and if anyone wishes to send us a donation, they in return will get a little missing person.
Terrific.
And if we get the funds, we'll be back for it.
Well, they've seen the very hard work that you do. Thank you very much indeed for that. Make sure that you talk to people, to family, to friends, in fact anyone, before you decide to run away. If you take the train to London or any big city, this is what lies at the end of the line. Cold pavements, dirty doorways, hunger, illness and fear. It's no way to spend Christmas. It's no way to spend any day of your life. Running away to London is the worst idea you will ever have, and that goes for any big city as well. Make sure you talk to people first. Here's the number of the National Missing Persons Helpline once again. It's 0500 700 700. All calls in the strictest of confidence. Okay, we're already up to our first break tonight. In a moment, we'll be looking for memorabilia from the movies and shooting off to Lapland to find out just why we do what we do at Christmas. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Quest. More from your calls last week. First, hundreds called about Corky the killer whale. Your verdict? 13% say keep him in SeaWorld. 87% say free him. Figures we have passed on to SeaWorld and the Born Free Foundation. Our offbeat fashion designers, Neely Moore and John Boddy, have both been offered all they need, so thank you very much indeed for that. We asked for more examples of wacky fortune reading techniques, and we got them. We heard from people who tell your fortune by your pet. They read your pet. Froth marks on beer glasses, shaver's stubble, whiskers left in the sink after shaving, jelly babies, the soles of your feet, wallpaper, paint blotches, raffle tickets, and you've got to be really dedicated for this last one, toenails. Please, no more. That's suggestions, not toenails. Ring the London Weather Centre. They need all the help they can for the future. And now those wedding pictures. Collector Rosemary Wheeler wanted a picture of a bride in hot pants, and here it is. The bride is Mrs. Terry Carnell from Newton Abbot in Devon, and her bridegroom, he's in the long trousers, is her husband Gary. And we had a spectacular two sort of results side in our bid to trace the brides in Mrs. Wheeler's mystery pictures. First side, Pauline Runt says she nearly fainted when she saw herself and her mother on the show. This was one wedding that didn't work out, though. The couple divorced in 1982, and Pauline threw her album away. Now she's happily remarried, though. And on the second side, second wedding picture told a more romantic tale. This was the moment when a young couple began a long and happy married life. Trevor Orton called to tell us that the soldier was his great-uncle Henry Slim, pictured on the day he married Elizabeth Lee. Henry survived the war, he came marching home again, and he and Elizabeth were together until she died in the 60s. Henry himself lived into the 1980s. Two pictures, one marriage, and a great story. Now, another opportunity to dig deep into your junk cupboard and come up with a winner. And this is an item that works quite well on this programme, I have to say. On December the 21st, the auctioneers Christie's are holding one of their specialised sales. This time it's mementos from Movie Land, and here to tell us exactly what's worth what, from Christie's, Catherine Higgins. Welcome back.
Hello again.
Always successful, this.
I know. No many calls about bears, please.
We're not guarding something here that's going to end up, you know, so looking at the wrong side of the studio and it's worth a fortune.
£100,000 perhaps?
Darth Vader's helmet.
Yes, the important thing about film and entertainment memorabilia is really to establish the authenticity of the item, and a lot of people will have things that they've known have come from people who've worked on shows. They've actually have been film props themselves, as this actual hat. Up to about £3,000 for that, was used in the film The Empire Strikes Back, so very recognisable key piece. This is another nice party piece, perhaps suitable for you,
Yes,
maybe.
absolutely. What do you mean?
It's very stylish, from Coneheads, which is a 1994 film, very big in the States at the moment.
Right.
£200 to £400. Was not actually worn by Dan Aykroyd himself, but was worn by another of the actors in the film, so important piece there. And
this is much more my style here.
this is lovely. This is from Indiana Jones film, which is absolutely, I mean, key pieces from the films, like the Temple of Doom and the banqueting scene, actually do go very, very well at auction. So that is probably around about £300 for that.
Yes, served on a bed of salad.
Indeed, yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
Does it help if the movies are older?
Yes, I mean, obviously established classic films do attract a lot of interest, and these whiskey bottles here are appropriate enough for Christmas. They inspire Graham Greene to write Our Man in Havana, and actually these were used in the film itself, and they're in the crucial scene where they actually play chess with the whiskey bottles. So, yes, I mean, a classic film, and those would be £1,500 to £2,000. So, talking about authenticity as well, which I mentioned before, I mean, this is the jacket from Terminator 2. I mean, very well known. It comes with a letter of authenticity from the stunt coordinator in the film. Yeah. So very important that you can actually trace the provenance of the item. You know who's owned it. Yeah. And these sunglasses here, again, Terminator to cover his robotic eye. So key pieces there. £3,000 and perhaps £1,500 for the glasses.
It is unlikely, if we're being sort of realistic, that most of us would have these things dotted around our wardrobes. But I mean, we might have movie stills.
You may have a black and white still like this, £20 to £30 on its own, but a whole collection, perhaps much, much more. So Marilyn Monroe here. And on the subject of Marilyn, let me introduce Pauline Bailey to you. Hello, hi. Pauline.
Hi.
A bit of a Marilyn fan, to say the least.
Yeah.
What, are you going to go along to the auction?
Yes, I am, actually.
Are you looking for anything in particular?
Well, I collect old original magazines of Marilyn and the old calendars, so anything to do with Marilyn would be absolutely fantastic.
How long have you been a fan?
Since I was 9 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about, earlier on today, talking about Marilyn dresses and things, and the clothes that she wore would really fetch a fortune, wouldn't they?
Up to, well, in excess of £30,000 for a Marilyn Monroe dress that she wore in a film. Yeah. Very sought after.
So would you be going for something like that?
A little bit out of my price range, I think.
Thanks both of you for coming in as well.
Thank you,
I can't wait to see it on the news, because it always is. There's always something huge on there. Thanks very much indeed to Catherine and to Pauline. So do you have a souvenir from the silver screen? 071 757 7000. That's the number. Call in now. And at the auction on December 21st, you could be a star. We've unearthed some odd collectors and collections on Quest this series. Here are 3 more that you just won't believe. Let's begin with David Morgan, who collects what the rest of us would go out of our way to avoid. Any guesses?
This is my cone factory in Oxfordshire. This is my collection of traffic cones. There's 536 of them, and some of them have been made here. Most of them I've found on the side of the road. By driving through roadwork, I take new cones with me in the boot. I then stop. If I see an interesting one, I get out and swap it. Some of these have come from abroad, such as this one is Japanese. This one we made for a wedding of our works manager. This one I found floating in the sea in the Scilly Isles. This one I managed to find on my honeymoon in Corsica. And this one I saved from a motorway in the 1960s. This is the only one that survives because they tended to get run over by creeping across the road on their own after heavy vehicles went past. There's probably only one cone that I haven't got in my collection, and what I'm really looking for is a 5-sided 18-inch cone. It will look similar to this, except it will have 5 sides. I think that the last one I saw was in Manchester, and that was 5 years ago. I couldn't stop at the time to collect it, and I've never been able to find one since. The last person who I know had one was a man called Harry Houghton, an old tool maker, but I haven't been able to trace him either. So if anyone could send me a 5-sided 18-inch cone, it would be much appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome. So next time you're stuck in an M6 contraflow, look out for David. You'll have no trouble spotting him because he's going to be the one who's smiling, apart from Richard and Judy, of course. And remember, David is a cone manufacturer, so he always replaces the cones that he takes. And one other thing as well, don't forget that call us if you've got one of those cones. Don't just send it to us because we don't want our own contraflow. Our second new collector tonight is Robert Opie. Robert collects food packaging. In fact, he's got a museum full of food packaging in Gloucester, but it lacks one essential item, a Second World War vintage tin of Spam. So please, any ex-squaddies, any one-time land girls, look in the back of your larder and see if you can find that one last can of wartime Spam. Lastly, I would like to introduce you to William Forrester of Rugby. William is a member of the British branch of the International Brick Collectors Association. Now, it's not a big branch. Last time they counted, there were only 2 of them, and this doesn't lead to a lot of inter-branch brick swapping, as you can imagine. So William often travels to America with a suitcase full of English bricks and returns with a suitcase full of American bricks. William's quest tonight is very simple. He is looking for a brick with the word rugby on it. That's all. I'm afraid rare bricks have no rarity value, so William can't pay you anything for your brick with rugby on it. But let's face it, to you it's just another brick in the wall. To William and his collection, it would be a cornerstone. So why not just give it to him and be a sport? In fact, it could be a brick. Cones, bricks, cans of Spam, can you help? Here's the number, 071 757 7000. The collectors of Britain await your call. Here at Quest, we've been pursuing our own special seasonal quest this week, and of course, when it's Christmas, and you have to start thinking about that sort of thing, why do we do the things that we do? It was Mr. Thomas Smith who created the cracker you pull over Christmas lunch in about 1845. The joke you find inside the cracker dates from about 3 years before that. To answer the rest of the quest, we've taken the easy option. Our reporter Tony Doughty flew to Lapland to check it out with the man himself. After all, who knows more about Christmas than Santa Claus?
Yes, Philip, we've come to Lapland in northern Finland, the home of Father Christmas. He lives out here in the hills. Normally he's very busy at this time of year, but he's agreed to give us an exclusive interview to help solve some of those Christmas quests. Let's go and find him in his workshop. Father Christmas! I'll tell you what, I've waited a long time for this moment.
Happy to see you finally, Tony.
Tell me a little secret. Who are you?
Well, Tony, it started a long time ago. Huh? There was a poor family, and Saint Nicholas went to their house and threw some coins into their house. And some of the coins landed in stockings that were hanging by the fireplace. Huh? And from that time on, people would hang stockings on the fireplaces, and St. Nicholas would come down through the chimney and bring them presents. Huh?
Of course, St. Nicholas is now known as Santa Claus, but what if you haven't got a chimney in your flat or house?
Don't worry, Tony. It's magic. But no children need to fear. All the presents will get there.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. A Happy New Year.
The first carol singers were the angels who sang to herald the birth of Christ, and it was the Victorians who first started the trend of singing in the neighbourhood to raise money for the poor. This is the nerve centre of Lapland, where all the letters to Father Christmas actually end up, and I can see you having a bit of a busy day today.
Yes, Tony, very busy indeed.
What sort of things are people asking for this year?
All sorts, from all over the world, you know, children asking, oh, normal toys, you know, but of course today is a lot of video games and computer games and things like that. Huh?
There's nothing better than opening a big present on Christmas Day, but why do we actually send presents?
It's an old tradition. It started with the 3 kings giving presents to mark the birth of Christ, and we just kept it on ever since. Huh?
So what happens to these letters next after you've opened them and read every single one of them?
They are taken to the elves at the toy factory, and then the toys are being made and wrapped up, and then I deliver the toys on the Christmas Eve. through the two of them.
So I take this away to be wrapped then, get the present to be wrapped?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Christmas trees were first introduced to us from Germany by Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert. And the idea of decorating the tree with Christmas lights was first done by Martin Luther, and the lights are meant to symbolise the light that Jesus first brought to the earth. I know a song about him. That's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
That's right.
Santa, tell me, how'd you fly?
That's magic, Tony. I can't tell you that. That's magic.
You've got a busy week. You better be off. Before you go, can I give you just a little list? It's been good.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Rudolph.
Happy Christmas.
First stop, my house. Thank you, Tony. Well, as this series of quests ends, we can say with some pride that in 10 weeks we've found full-time work for 3 of our viewers. Steve Joyner solved the problem of Stratford Johns' flashing coat in Scrooge, the musical, so neatly that the company took him on the payroll, which is terrific. Dean Taylor sent us his picture as a Tony Blair lookalike. He's been taken on by a model agency, and now he's appearing in the newspapers nearly as often as the Labour leader himself. And before Quest came along, 25-stone Stuart Brodie from Clydebank was doing nothing, and doing that rather slowly. Now he's a heavyweight heartthrob with the all-singing, all-dancing Blobbendales, and he tells us that he's grateful for the opportunity. No sweat, Stuart, at least not on our part. OK, time for a break, but we'll be back quickly to bring you right up to date on our quest into the phenomenon they call regression and the treasure hunt in Wales that sprang from it. Fascinating stuff. Don't go away. Welcome back. Our investigation into pollution possibly caused by fuel at cement works has led to a big response, including this statement that we've just received from Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Pollution, and this is what they say. As a direct response to the concerns expressed by Schofield's Quest viewers, Dr. David Slater, Director and Chief Inspector of the Inspectorate, who appeared on the programme, visited Castle Cement Clitheroe on December the 14th. He discussed the worries of local people with the management and obtained assurances from the company that they were undertaking a comprehensive programme of further improvements. Dr. Slater wants to thank Quest viewers for all their calls and letters. So a bit of a result there, which is good. And of all the exciting and involving and fascinating things that have cropped up on Quest this series, nothing really has quite matched our experiments with the theory of reincarnation. We began with a failure. Our reporter, Karen Keating, volunteered to be hypnotised and regressed to a former life, but it rapidly became apparent that, in fact, she didn't have one. As a last throw, she volunteered her husband, Russ. He was hypnotised and regressed, and this was the result.
William Boyd.
And the date, please, Russell?
1861.
1861, thank you. Where were you born?
Born in Bristol.
Born in Bristol. And you've lived in Bristol all of your life?
No, I travel. I move.
You move, but Bristol is your base. You always come back to Bristol?
Yes, in the country.
Where are you, William?
The Watson's #1 club.
The Watson's #1 club?
Yes.
Why is it called the Watson's #1?
Whiskey, stupid.
Whiskey? Ah!
Got to Paris.
You got to Paris. Tell me about Paris.
We saw the Olympics.
You saw?
The Olympics.
Did you, in Paris? But where were they held? Can you remember?
We won the yachting.
You won the yachting?
Oh, yes.
Was there a major celebration over that? You just went there and enjoyed yourself?
We went and enjoyed. Charles came.
Charles came?
Charles came. Charles was in the races. Good old Charles.
Was it his own yacht? Or was he just crewing for someone?
No, Charles runs.
Oh, he runs?
Yes. Couldn't quite do the marathon, though.
So he's a long-distance runner?
Oh, yes. He got a medal.
He got a medal? Good.
Good on Charles.
That's how we made the acquaintance of William Boyd of Bristol. Subsequently, we found Mr. Boyd's birth certificate, his house, his friends. We traced his trip to Paris, the Watson's whiskey he drank, his interest in early submarines. We even found a descendant, Philip Boyd, who also lives in Bristol. Later, our investigation was described as one of the most authenticated and successful attempts at regression for years. Success led us further down this road, and we met Jim Beattie from Arizona. Do you remember this?
I've acquired this small casket of jewels. I must hide it. I'm hiding it in me map case. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Oh, there. I'm out. Oh, there's me mate. There's Tommy. Tommy. Oh, Tommy. I've been stabbed. I take it to Wales, where I have a hiding place. I cross the pasture to the incline near the woods. It is in a place where few people care to walk. It is in the pigsty.
Well, of course, we went to Wales to look for the treasure. Our first attempt didn't get that far, despite the help of Dowser Elizabeth Sullivan, who was as convinced as Jim that there was something there, just waiting to be found. We needed help, we needed equipment, we needed experience, so we came back on air and next Sunday appealed to you. Your calls poured in, and as ever, we were spoilt for choice. Richard Chignall offered specialised help with radar equipment, and with lots more volunteers, we began to dig. Then came disappointment. We hit waterlogged earth and sand. Our diggers, both mechanical and human, began to sink dangerously, and we had to call a halt. So where does that leave us? We've found a very interesting archaeological site of pigsty and farm buildings, everything that Jim told us, and excavations are continuing. But when it came to buried treasure, we found nothing so far. So should we keep looking? Let's ask our dowser, Elizabeth Sullivan. That's the first question, really. Do you think we should keep looking?
Well, yes, I think you should, because I tracked in all the things he'd stolen. And what he'd stolen, he said, were rubies, emeralds, pearls, and gold. And I got into that wood tracking those objects. And in through the wood we went, no paths, a dark little wood, and down and up and down and round, and then we suddenly came across this extraordinary little, looked like a pigsty. And when we started digging, there were these buried farm buildings. I mean, absolutely amazing, and nobody knew they were there. The council didn't know they were there.
The conditions were very bad.
Oh, appalling, absolutely dreadful. It poured with rain. I've never got so wet in my life. It was, I don't know how they dug at all. It was really quite extraordinary what they dug through.
So do you think when the weather improves, we should go back?
Well, I think it's there, because you see, when you dowse, you can pick up whether things there or whether it's gone away, and it hasn't gone away, it's there. I'm absolutely convinced it's there. We haven't got to it yet, but I can still pick it up.
All right, thank you very much indeed for that. If Elizabeth's right, then the quest for Jim's buried treasure may not be over yet. The search will go on, and who knows, perhaps when we return in the autumn, we'll have those long-lost jewels from India here in the studio to show you. Meanwhile, we've got something equally fabulous to show you instead. Last week, June Whitfield rang with an emergency appeal for a giant pumpkin. It's panto time at the Wimbledon Theatre, and you can't do Cinderella without the pumpkin, can you? Well, it turns out that dozens of Quest viewers are pumpkin growers. We had tons of the things on offer, and just over here is the one we chose. Here it is. It was grown by champion gardener Roger Otter, and he lives in Chesterfield. It weighs 148 pounds, and here to claim it are Mark Curry, Sally Mean, and June Whitfield themselves. And how magnificent you look. Absolutely.
We'll put our costumes on in a minute.
So are you pleased with this?
I think it's absolutely wonderful, isn't it?
It is extraordinary.
And thanks to all the viewers who sent things in. The only slight snag is, as you say, it is a little bit heavy.
I know, and I've got
Sally
to carry it in.
Right, so how are you going to get round that then?
I'm going to scoop out the middle, Philip, and dry it.
The soup you'll get out of this will be
pumpkin and
sandwiches,
pumpkin soup,
pumpkin au gratin,
pumpkin party. Will you come?
Absolutely, of course. If I'm invited, I would love to. I'm glad to have helped you there.
That's wonderful.
That's terrific. And
so we will actually use it once the inside's taken.
Yes,
definitely.
so how long do you think it's going to take before it's sort of seen on stage?
It should be on next week. We've had to use its baby brother to start with because we opened on Friday, and so we've had a couple of days without it, haven't we? But
so you've got to carry it out now,
June.
Have you going to carry it out?
Well, I thought if I waved my wand,
that's
perhaps
a good
it might
idea.
disappear.
And you know why Cinderella's no good at tennis, don't you?
Why is that?
Because her coach is a pumpkin.
Oh.
And if you think that's bad, come to Wimbledon Theatre. Much worse.
And that's where you are. You're at Wimbledon. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you, and you.
Always a pleasure. I'm very, very pleased to have helped
and
you as
all
well.
of you.
Thanks very much indeed to Sally and to Mark and also to June as well. Every successful Cinderella, as we said. That's about it from this series of quests, but our lines remain open until 10 tonight. And of course, you can carry on writing to us. I'll give you the address in just a second. So here's a very quick rundown on the quests that we have set tonight. How will we write the date in the year 2000? Can you help with the Mexican treasure hunt?
Why Cinderella?
Are they missing you at home this Christmas? If they are and you think they might be, please call them. Any old movie memorabilia for sale? And have you got the cones, the bricks, the tin of Spam, that sort of stuff? All the business that our collectors are looking for. Our address, if you would like to write to us, I'll give you this now. Write it down, because just because we're not on the air next week doesn't mean to say you can't sort of suddenly think of a quest and give us a shout. Schofield's Quest, P.O. Box 9100, London W1A9SB. Quickly, a second time. Schofield's Quest, P.O. Box 9100, London W1A9SB. Our phone number, as we said, that's still open, 0717577 7000. And more importantly, the National Missing Persons Helpline number is 0500 700 700. Let me quickly update you for the final time. The Millennium Project, Greenwich Observatory, Britain's timekeepers say the correct way to write the date at the turn of the century will be 00. So that's 18/12/00 for today. So there you go, officially done. Collectibles, Zoe Layton from Solihull in Birmingham is regularly stuck on the M6 and has a whole range of cones for David Morgan. Holly Ann of Eastcote has a tin of Spam for the 40s. Oh, is this another one coming in? I'll read that one first. We found a 5-sided cone, for goodness sake. Jonathan Openshaw from Bury actually has got one for Harry, so that's absolutely magnificent. Bricks and all sorts of business, masses of success. Have a great Christmas. We'll see you in the new year. Until then, bye-bye.
That was the last Schofield's Quest in the current series. Tonight, stay with us for Heartbeat.